Okay, the computer says we are recording in progress.
Yeah,
good morning
got it.
or good afternoon or good evening, whoever's watching. We have
Got
Roy
it.
Dollwet with us here today. I don't know if, yeah, good to see you, Roy. Yeah, we can all see you. So for
Good
those of you that
morning.
don't know me, my name is Alex Alexander. I'm the CIO of Integrity Portfolio Management, and we handle $1.5 million worth of land assets here on Hawaii. I only sell land. We don't sell any sort of knowledge or a kit or a package or a lesson or anything like that. We give away knowledge for free and sell land. We give away the knowledge because I think there's way too many people who are out there broke and they don't know how to stop being broke. And I don't think you need to be one of them. So we make these videos. And I got my friend Roy Dollwet to come and join us today. He is an investor, a realtor, a world traveler, and we're going to have a little talk today. And now that we're recording, we already had a talk. We already had a great talk. So we're going to find out more stuff to talk about now that we're recording. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning. Good morning. That's a good point, Alex. I think they teach you to be broke in school, right?
Yeah, they do.
They teach you to live week to week by your paycheck. And so thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for having this podcast. We gotta like connect, guys. We gotta work together, educate one another, figure out the system so we can not be broke, but create passive income in our lives so we can get out of the rat race.
That's right. Now, I talk a lot on here about high performance, and for me personally, the first thing that starts my entire high performance lifestyle is getting up early in the morning. And I recently found out that you get up early as well.
I can't sleep. Too much to do.
What time do you usually get up?
4. I wake up at 3:30, lay in bed, and then the mind starts going, and juices start flowing, and I start sweating, and I gotta get out.
Yeah. Andrew Huberman talks about that all the time. It's a shot. That's a shot of adrenaline.
Literally, I can feel the chemicals in my body and forget it. Once I start going, oh, shucks, I got to do this today and I got to do that today. And I can't lay in bed after that. I get my coffee and then it's
off to the races.
Off to the races.
Yeah, he talks about, I've been kind of above average interest in neuroscience lately. He talks about there's that adrenaline, but it's cortisol that whenever you wake up, that's what triggers you to wake up. And that's that stress hormone. It's called cortisol. And so first thing in the morning, we have like a stress response. That's the very first thing that we wake up to. And what I've done, and it sounds like you're doing the same thing, is instead of feeling that stress, you wake up and, okay, let's have that stress move me into action and move me into doing things.
Is that why our hair is thinning?
A little bit. Mine's running for the hills.
Cortisol,
that's right. And then to counteract that, you take 5-HTP so you can get serotonin. I don't even know if the label comes up.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I take 5-HTP, and that's actually, that helps to break down the cortisol molecules inside your body. Yeah. There's tons of stuff that high performance people do. Getting up early, like I talked about, was my first one. What else do you do? What do you do in the morning when you get up?
Well, I'm a coffee addict. Can you see this cup? Cinco de Mayo swim. I'm an avid swimmer. I'm not quick. I'm very slow, but I love to be out there with the fishies and the turtles. I've swam over 1,000 miles open ocean. Wow. There's one Ali'i challenge I've done 3 or 4 times. The whole Ali'i drive from Sheraton to the Kona Pier, and I've done just like we swam Richardson's to Honolulu, literally traversed the Hilo Bay, and it's fun stuff. We have a crazy group and we love to get out there, swim a mile or so from one beach to another beach, Hapuna to Mauna Kea or Kua Beach or whatever, just all over the islands. We love to swim.
Whenever you get up and you don't do that in the morning, how do you feel the rest of the day?
Oh yeah, kind of sluggish. Definitely, swimming, it's you hold your breath for a second or two and then you release it. So yeah, you're definitely pumping up the system and you feel quite revitalized after a swim, just charged.
That's great. Yeah, like I said, I've been really getting into neuroscience and them talking about, they call this thing called dopamine prediction error. And so whenever you think things are going to be really great and you get to the end, you think you're going to have this big dopamine release, like you're going to feel wonderful. And when it's the dopamine along the way that really feels wonderful. And a lot of times there's a letdown because you don't have like a big release of like a, a climactic type of release. The body and the brain just doesn't work that way. It's more slow, slow, slow. And so he's been talking about ice baths and swimming and all the same stuff we were just talking about. The holding the breath, all of these are mechanics to get the mind and the body to release the hormones in the way that make us feel good. And so you've got a great cheat that doesn't even take any sort of neuroscience, any sort of, being smart about it. You just get in the water and you swim, and it forces you to hold your breath, like you say. It forces your body to be colder and get the movement going. And so what this does is it allows the body to reset, and the dopamine goes up instead of going up as you're building. And then you have that prediction reward error. So the dopamine you think you're going to get at the end, you don't get, but what you're doing is slowly keeping it all the time. So I've noticed this about you whenever we talk. You always have kind of a high energy, a high kind of
funny.
Happiness.
You and I actually share a lot of common interests because I also study the brain. And apparently dopamine is the anticipation release.
Yeah.
It's not the actual climax, it's the anticipation, right? So keeping you on the edge, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a great, endorphins and dopamine and all that you get from the swim. I heard one study that it's only cardiovascular activity that cleans out your cells, where the body dumps its waste, is actually in the cells. And we might want to do some more research on that, but you know how you feel after you've done some cardiovascular activity, and swimming is a great one. Like I said, you pull in the breath and you hold it for a stroke or so, and then and you're literally cleansing the body. So after, you're very charged, full of dopamine, endorphins, and you're cleaner, and it's totally different mind.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to go back to what I was getting to about you being on the Hilo side. Is you have the large population center on that side. There's something like 40,000 people that live in Hilo town,
and growing.
And then Puna is spread. It's kind of a large area, but there's something. What are the numbers in the area of Puna? Do you know?
Good question. I don't have the Puna population off the top of my head.
I've heard somebody say 90,000 before during the
I will
volcano.
get that to you. There's a lot, and there's a lot of room for growth. That's the beauty of the Big Island. I just bought a square 3-acre lot up in Fern Forest Vacation Estates. I'm kind of inspired by my son, who builds tiny homes here, and he's got 3 projects going right now. And so I decided to do something unpermitted, off-grid. The deal came with 7 solar powered, 7 solar panels, 2 inverters, and so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go off grid. Now, here's something interesting for anybody who's on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's hit and miss when it comes to cellular connections. So whenever you go to a lot, always check your phone, whether there's 1 bar or 2 bars. If you don't have cellular connection, you either got to get a booster or you're off the grid, man. And not everybody wants to be disconnected. I think what a lot of people want, especially it's become evident with this COVID, where their $1 million condominium in San Francisco has become a prison, right? They want to get out. We've sold so much real estate since the COVID outbreak, a lot of sight unseen. People want an acre, right? 2 acres, 3 acres here on the Big Island of Hawaii, and it's affordable and you can still do it, but they still want to be connected. You hear me? They want to get out, have their acre at least to roam around, breathe the fresh air, not be cooped up in a condo in San Francisco, right? With a mask on, but they still want to be connected. Fern Forest Vacation Estates has, into my place that I just purchased, 1 gigabyte of fiber optics. I'm like, what? I didn't know that. Hawaiian Tel, I called them up. I said, what's your wire doing on my property? What are you going to do about it? You know, are you going to come and remove it? And they're like, well, you could continue the service. I said, what kind of service? 1 gigabyte of fiber. I was like, no way, you know, and I got 2 bars on my AT&T. So this is a factor. Whenever you shop in the jungle on the Big Island of Hawaii, you probably, like most people, you still want to stay connected. You know what I'm saying? So check that out.
And if you're an investor, whoever you want to buy to is going to want to be connected. So say you do like Tony and I do, you know, buy and hold, and we're basically like rent to own. So you can't rent to own it if people come and well, you can, but then in a month they complain and they want to leave. So you're constantly selling. You have nothing but churn.
How's the connectivity in Hawaiian Ocean View Estates?
Very good. Yeah.
Is it?
So we have a tower there in and actually there's a few places that kind of dead spots inside of Hove. But we have fiber also, and that goes down to Rancho's side. So I have another partner I think you've met with before too, Michael. He's working on the Rancho side because he sees exactly what you were just describing, how San Francisco, he's in the tech world. Rancho's is below Hove.
Makai of the highway, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So for anybody watching, Mauka is up the mountain and Makai is down the mountain towards the water. And so what Roy was talking about is another subdivision that's right next to Hove that I talk about all the time. Hawaiian Ocean View Estates. Down from there, or Makai, down from the road, is Rancho's. So Rancho's is 3-acre lots. I sell 1-acre lots above the highway. Rancho's 3-acre lots below the highway, and that has the fastest internet that you can get. It's just like you were talking about. So I guess there was a county or a government grant of some sort, and so they brought it out there. And so he's really working to market to the folks in the tech sector who are trying to get out of those $1 million condos. They don't want to be stuck in San Francisco. They want to come live on 3 acres, and they have, you know, funding to be able to do that because they sell these little tiny cracker box condos, and they can come on to 3 acres and have a really nice spread. So yeah, we're seeing that quite a bit as well.
Nice. Infrastructure is a big consideration when you come out to the jungle. Unless you're in Hilo or Kona proper, there's no sewer hookup. You build your own septic, right? There's most likely no water, so you have a catchment tank. You may or may not have paved roads. Only very few subdivisions have to-the-door mail service. Otherwise, you rent a post box in town. So whenever you're buying real estate here on the Big Island of Hawaii, you know, you really got to drive around and study each subdivision, each neighborhood, because they're all different.
Yeah, and that infrastructure, which you were just talking about, it goes throughout the entire island. I thought it was mainly just the subdivisions. So we've always had trucks and SUVs, and we recently got a nicer car with, you know, nice wheels, and it's kind of low to the ground. It's almost like a sports car. But anyway, we can't just go everywhere anymore. We can't really, like, the roads here. It's country, it's rural. The entire island is like an agricultural rural island with only 200,000 people. It seems like there's tons more people, but there really are not. It's really country. And so whenever folks come here and they want you know, nice restaurants. I have this concept I keep talking about. I call it the Porsche concept, where tons of people have moved here with their nice Porsches and there's nowhere to fix them. A lot of mechanics don't even want to work on Porsches, and people are like, what are you talking about? You won't fix my Porsche. It's like, it's a hassle. Why would I do that? I got 50 other people in line with Ford trucks. I know how to fix every Ford truck all day, every day. Why would I even bother?
That's
right.
right.
I got to learn your whole. So there's a different kind of a mentality that goes along with that. But this whole, the fact that we are country and we are out here in the middle of nowhere is very different. I try to get people to understand that when they move here. So I have a concept that this large influx that we've had over the past year and a half, I see that I see that it's going to be a flight eventually. I think that there's going to be a time when people realize, man, I can eat at every restaurant on the island in a month, and then I'm done. There's no more, there are no more new restaurants I can drive to. I have to get on a plane to go to a new restaurant. And I call this the Porsche effect. There's a lot of this because it seems real nice. You can go to the hotels and you have a great, wonderful, everything's nice and clean and flat and even, like the ground is flat and even and concrete. Everywhere else off of that area, the ground is jagged and up and down, and you're never standing on a flat piece, and it's rugged, and you need special kinds of like trucks. Porsche is not. So anyway, I call that the Porsche effect. That's what I'm looking for in the next 6 to 10 months. I see like a large dip in prices where people go, what were we thinking? We're way over here. I think that's what's going to happen personally.
Sure. I mean, you really got to know your lot. I wouldn't advise buying sight unseen if you're on the mainland and you're interested in buying property here on the Big Island. You really got to get there, go out there and look at it, because it might be 15 or 20 minutes on a pothole filled gravel road from the highway. That's an additional 15 minutes of bumping and, pothole road driving, and it really adds to your stress, and your day is that much longer. So,
and your car bill,
and your car
tire bill, and your
Hawaiian
and your
Acres, the gravel roads go for days. There's so much, I would advise to anybody who's buying here on the Big Island, once again, drive around, know not only the subdivisions, but the climates, and the microclimates. We have 12 of the world's 14 climate zones here on the Big Island, and it's quite different if you're going from, say, for example, Aloha Estates, which is in Mountain View, and it's right in the rain belt. It's very lush, it's beautiful, you got all that wild ginger, and I love it up there, but it rains a lot, and if you just drive 30 minutes down to the coast in Hawaiian beaches, parks, shores, it's quite warm and hot there. So 30-minute drive can make all the difference. Totally different climates. Then there's microclimates, whether you live on this side of the hill or that side of the hill. I mean, it could make the difference between rain or no rain, wet or dry. So always come and study, consult with a local, know the environment, know the HOA dues, whatnot. Just my advice to would-be buyers on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Can you speak about, because it seems to me that Big Island is the only place left in Hawaii for big time investment. It seems like the rest is kind of bought out. If you talk about the state, if you look at the other islands, but Big Island is so wide open. There's so much space, so much land that can be developed, and
it's crazy.
It's really
it's crazy. Yeah, that's why I love it. I feel like a little kid when I think about that, and look at Hawaiian Ocean View Estates. I mean, is it 1 in 8 lots are actually developed? I mean, people own them, but they just let them sit, right, Alex? There's nobody actually doing anything with it, Yeah. So also,
about 10%. That sounds about right.
Yeah, Ainaloa subdivision and right across the street, Hawaiian Paradise Parks. Right now, those 2 subdivisions are totally booming, but still, it's 1 in 5 lots have been built on. It's still 1 in 5. God, I'm trying to wrap my head around, what if we even reach the halfway point, half of HPP, which is the second largest subdivision apparently in the United States of America, second to yours, Hawaiian Ocean View Estates.
Yeah.
What if half of those lots in Ainaloa and Hawaiian Paradise Parks got built on with houses and families living in them? Can you imagine the highway? I don't even want to think about it. We would need double-decker highways all the way to Hilo and back,
I think we would. You're right, because Hove is about 10,000 people, and we're talking about it's only about 10% occupied. So that means it should be something like 80 to 100,000 people living
10 times that. There could be 100,000 people living in Hove, and I'm sure 100,000 in HPP, and
For sure, because
Uh,
I think HPP has smaller lots, so they actually have more lots than OV, I think.
No, HPP is 1 acre.
Oh, they are? Okay,
Yep, same.
cool.
Ainaloa is between 9 and 12,000 square feet, unless it's a quarter lot. Corner lots are whatever's left over when they divide up the subdivision. Whatever's left over, they'll put it on the corner. So like I have one there, it's 15,000 square foot. Kind of an
Cool.
odd number, but for the most part, Ainaloas are 12,000 square feet. Hawaiian Paradise Parks are 1 acre even, unless you get down to the ocean, they get smaller half-acre lots.
And now you run the REI Club here.
That's correct.
And so lately we've been doing online Zoom meetings, of course, like everybody. But do you have a lot of folks that come? Talk about how the investors are when they come here. Do you get people like when they first come, they kind of join the club, and do they learn a little bit over time by being with the club? And
yeah, so I've been the coordinator for the Big Island Real Estate Investors Club for going on 8 or 9 years now. We meet the first Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. via Zoom. If you'd like to be included, simply shoot me an email, bigislandrei@gmail.com. That's Big Island REI@gmail.com. I will add you to the mailing list. We started off with I don't even know what we're talking about. Just crazy stuff. It wasn't even real estate, for the first year. But I'm so happy now because I got a lot of, I only have 6 or 7 people show up to every meeting, but they're all A players. They're either doing new builds or, fix and flips. One guy just bought a lot in Hilo. He's going to develop a B&B. Yeah, so all these people are A players. And so I'm happy to say, we don't have a big group, but we do have a quality group.
that's great. I talked to everybody I talk to in Hilo. I talk about the historic district. And the challenge is the way I see it is I talk about how it seems like the properties are getting sold down the value chain, kind of that same Porsche principle I was talking about. You realize you can't, because there's the SMA, the historic district. There's a ton of regulation that goes along with fixing up that area. And it seems like the planning department has put a lot of blocks on that, not specifically to stop that area from redeveloping, but it seems like there are a lot of hurdles in place that tend to make that area not be developed. And so what I see is somebody will buy a place and it's a hotel that needs to be fixed up, and they maybe jump into it too quick. Maybe they didn't do enough diligence and they realize, okay, well, now I need to fix this place up. Holy crap, I got to fix it up that much. It's in the SMA, which means I can't just put in a toilet. I can't put in a new toilet and a shower. I have to do a whole new sprinkler system. I have to have a site engineer come in. I have to redo everything. And it's in the SMA, which is a special maintenance area, the shore area, which means that it's
special management area.
Right, which is close to the shoreline, correct?
That is correct.
So that means that
you have to meet a few more regulations, jump through a few more hoops, right?
Right. So what I see happen is these guys will come in, they'll be developers and they'll buy a building or something. Two specifically that I know about, this is the exact story. They came in, they bought too quick. There was a smoking deal, so they got it. Now they're trying to get out of the deal because they can't raise the funds to improve the place they bought. And so what keeps happening is they bought it as a hotel thinking they were going to fix it up. And then since they can't sell it, now they just rent out, and it's not a hotel. Now it's a hostel, because you don't have to put in more bathrooms. You just have everybody share the one bathroom that still works. And then whenever that bathroom stops, they sell it down again. And now it's not even a hostel. Now it's a flop house for halfway homeless folks that are camping there at night and doing like work trade. Anyway, so I've seen a ton of that happening. And my whole point is that I keep seeing things get sold down the value chain because there's so much. I don't know if it's because of the regulation, but it seems like they can't get it together to fix it up, so they sell it down. Are you seeing that?
Right. So you're saying to bring it to current code with the fire sprinklers and whatnot, it's just financially not feasible, right?
I guess it's either that or they can't get the permits and stuff together.
It's so funny, Alex, because I called up my son, and it wasn't the Crest building downtown Bayfront. It was the building was it the Tohoku building or
Kamehameha, the one on Kamehameha Boulevard.
Yeah, right on Bayfront.
Yeah, it's Kamehameha. It's called the Kamehameha Marketplace.
But I believe it was you. Tony said that. I said, "There's this building downtown. It looks so cheap," and Tony's like, "No way! Just 3 hours ago, Alex called me and told me about the same building."
Yeah. That I think that fella's in the same situation. He's just selling down. He's either selling down or renting down instead of putting money in to fix up and rent up. And so I've been doing a ton of research in I treat my business as it's a service business. It's a monthly recurring, it's a recurring income service business. So instead of saying I sell somebody a product, I sell them a service of every month I'm helping them stay in their property. And so that's just kind of the way I think of it and approach it. And it's been working really well of, increasing the values instead of selling down.
I think it's the Crest building we were both eyeing.
Yeah, it was. And same thing. So he, I think he lost his renter. He had a rock climbing renter in the back. And I just saw a rock climbing store open about a block away from there. And that same week he called me and said, "Hey, are you still interested in the building?"
So I've seen a lot of for rent or for lease signs here and there throughout downtown Hilo. Are you? So I'm just curious because you've got your eye on this.
Yeah.
And I'm sniffing around like a hound dog trying to, like, the numbers off the bat look good.
Yeah.
But of course it has to pencil out. The income has to cover all the expenses and then I want money in my pocket, right?
Yeah.
When I went through that building, I just felt, I don't know, I felt it was over my head, out of my range. Old building. Yeah, old building. But where do you see, Alex, where do you see us going now? A lot of people work from home, and we are seeing a lot of for rent signs throughout downtown Hilo. Where do you see the opportunity without, revealing too much of your business model?
Well, I think it needs a total redevelopment. So somebody kind of big has to come in and buy up a bunch of buildings, like 4 or 5. And if somebody can get about 4 buildings in good shape, it'll take off. It'll kind of synergize and other people jump on the bandwagon. But somebody has to have a model that it can work in that area. And I was hoping it was going to be the Penns. I was hoping BJ Penn, because they've done so much in Wainaku, which is one street over from it's right there.
Across the Wailuku Bridge.
Yeah, it's right there. And that whole area, they bought up a ton of houses and turned them into rentals and cleaned them up. And see, what I really like about what they're doing is they're not buying them and selling down. They're not buying them and renting down. They're buying these properties, fixing them up and renting and selling them up and selling to a premium service. Yeah. So one of the big things I've been looking at is making sure that everything we do, I don't ever sell down as much as I can. It's a new mentality for me, so I'm working towards it constantly. But instead of selling down, ever reducing the price, I jack the price up. If I want to sell it, I bring the price up, and it's been working. So it also forces me to make it a better product.
So it almost sounds like that scenario where that building went down and down, became a flop house. What kind of business would you approach? Who would you solicit if you were to acquire one of these bayfront properties? Let's say you got the Crest building. How are you going to solicit that? How are you going how are you going to up it and improve the quality, and who would you approach?
So that's a tough one, but I've been having some ideas about for commercial buildings. Go and find, so it's already starting. Instead of finding barber shops, barbers are getting like 2 people. It's just 2 guys in an office, and they might only be open. The one guy comes in and services his clients, and the other guy comes in and services his clients. And this is just 2 guys that I know about specifically, that they just took all their clients and they raised the price dramatically. And so they only have their clients that pay like double what they were paying at a salon. You know, they were going to a barber shop where there's a bunch of people, they got to wait in line. There's all this stuff. It's a totally different experience. You're coming in there, there's nobody else in there. It's one guy in an office, and they made it like really like they tricked it out with wood, mirrors, the barber seat, the whole thing. And so you go in there and you get this beautiful private experience. It's almost like everybody's leaving. So say you go to a barber shop and you have the 5 barbers or the 10 barbers or however many chairs, you leave that because they're paying rental there and they're becoming their own business owners. So now that the internet's out and people are constantly watching YouTube, there's a billion videos saying you can be your own boss. You can do it. You can do it. There's an app to schedule all your people. There's QuickBooks to make your taxes easy. You don't have to be a part of some big company, because a lot of people are scared to be on their own. They want to be, oh, I'll just work for somebody else. But it's easy now. It's all online. It's all apps. It's all really kind of simple. And so I see people breaking into these. So for example, like this office building that I'm in here now. So I have an office building and I see people doing small businesses, one person in office spaces. So I don't know if that's a great answer or not, but also people don't like, for example, look at the back behind me. Constantly people are online. It's your online Zoom is your office now. So if you want to have a nice office, it's really easy to trick out.
That's what Corona has done. They've made it acceptable to work from home.
Yep.
At Hilo Bay Realty. We have a meeting once a month, and we always set up the computer off to the side with the camera, and it's quite acceptable for anybody to appear from their home via Zoom. So that's the way it has changed. But I'm just trying to predict, seeing all these for rent, for lease signs throughout downtown Gila. I'm like, shucks, where are we going? Are these going to be torn down? Are they all going to become flop houses? What are the businesses where people must go there, like a barber, like you just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that virtually. A masseuse. There used to be the Academy Massage right downtown there. They left, right? You can't get a virtual massage. Eat out at restaurants. Residences, apartments, whatnot. And what else?
See, I was trying to, whenever I was working real tough on, I focused on downtown Hilo for a little bit, and I kind of called mercy on it because I kind of was feeling the same way. I think it needs to be a large developer that has quite a bit of funding and backing, and backing legally as well, backing in staff, not just backing in funds, because we can get the money. We have a balance sheet. We know people that have enough money. We can do it. We can remake the entire downtown. Literally, we have the money to do that, but we don't have the staff. We don't have the organization, the infrastructure built out to really take on a project like that. So whenever we were looking at doing just one project, I was seeing the condos up, the residents up, and commercial down. So that's been a huge, I started looking around at like how cities.
So condos, right, residential are booming, but commercials down.
So the way I see it is that you tie it together. Whenever you buy the one condo, you buy the residents up and the commercial down. So whoever buys it, I'm democratizing. And I see this here also. I have 2 buildings right across the street, right here, JD Watermule's buildings, that I think should be that way. He's never going to fix them up. This is just personally, I just know how he operates from talking to folks. He never is going to put money back into them. Constantly going to bring in and have tenant improvements. So the way I see do that is keep control of the condo association, sell it off as a condo with residents up, commercial down. And that way you get investors who buy, who are business owners who live up and work down, or they do that in the beginning, then they rent the top, because all the places that I'm talking about qualify for short-term vacation rentals. Yeah, I don't think it would work if we were doing that and it was outside of a place that would qualify for short-term vacation rental, because eventually the residence condo is going to become a STVR condo, a rental, a short-term rental.
That's the way they do it in Japan. It's very common. Of course, Japan is the size of California. Imagine half of the population of the United States of America crammed onto an island the size of California, and 90% of that, is mountainous, only 10% arable, right? And they have no resources. So that's why the Japanese are very resourceful. And they make great use of space. We all remember the Sony Walkman, right? That went from the boom box to the Sony Walkman, So they're very much about small and cute. That's so they have this business model where right on the highway or right on the main road, just what you said, it's the Lawson's equivalent to our 7-Eleven. And then upstairs connected is the apartment building, So it's, quite common.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I've been so into it, is because it fits right in with the culture we already have. We have such a heavy Asian influence just on the island, on the, all the Hawaii Islands, from our geography and from our history of people who've lived here. And so why not? That's the people that live here. That's who's going to run the businesses. We're talking about like attracting new people to come here to do new business. There are plenty of people who have been here for generations that can do business here already. And so they're not going to break into a $20 million Kona Inn. They're not going to pay $20 million and buy Kona Inn Shopping Village. But they could probably put down some money and take out a loan, or do an owner finance loan with the developer who's selling it to them, the condo, and have, an $800,000 to a $1.2 million condo with a residence up, commercial down. So people can get into something like that and actually have people who live here, who start businesses, who run the businesses here, who own that, versus some large company that doesn't put money back into the economy here. All the rent so for example, Kona Inn Shopping Village should be making $122 million worth of rent. That's how much per year, 122 million worth of rent. Well, if that Kona Inn shopping center is owned by Marriott, that $122 million goes off the island. None of that 122 million stays here. But if all of those were, there's 91 units in there. So they say on their marketing material. So say that's 45 units. Say that's 45 condos, the way that I was saying, 75,000 square feet total, down by the 45 units is 1,600 square feet, 1,600 square feet per unit in all of Kona Inn. So that could be 45 condos, 45 people here. That's 45 different businesses who are spending $120 million here versus $120 million leaving. So that's one of the big things I've been trying to do, is get it happening here and have owners here. And the way to do that is have smaller places available on like Ali'i Drive, Hilo Bayfront. Right now, to get into it, you're talking $5, $10, $20 million to get into owning something in that area. Well, if we take these larger buildings and we're able to condominiumize them and sell them off that way, that's the idea I have. I think it'd be great because I think it would keep more money here. I could be wrong also. I could be completely wrong. It could be that people buy them. If we condominiumize them, it could be the exact same people that buy them. It could be people in California and Idaho and Wisconsin who buy them, who own t-shirt shops here and take the money off the island. That could be possible too. Personally, I think that it would keep more money here, having them be condominiumized.
Do you have any experience CPRing an apartment complex?
Nope. I have a feeling we're going to do it within the next year or two, though. It's just,
Oh, really?
it just keeps coming up too often that it's probably going to wind up happening. And I'll hire the experts that know how to do it, and we'll just motor
Right.
through it.
You have to hire an attorney who's done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working with Land Planning Hawaii. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Yeah, John Pippin over there is my senior land planner. He's really good. And so we're working on a rezone for the industrial for the storage set in Ocean View.
Oh,
And so
okay.
so technically we're already zoned industrial, but the last folks that got it zoned industrial, they didn't complete the construction.
Oh.
So I have to go back and do technically a rezone, even though it's already zoned what we want it to be. So anyway, I'm going through that process with them right now. They're top notch.
Great.
Actually, I
Great.
shouldn't promote them too much. It'll be hard for they'll stop answering my phone call. They'll get busy. But yeah, that's Land Planning Hawaii. John Pippin over there is really good. And so that's what I do. Anytime I have to get into any of this rezoning, I just hire the top guys I can find. I just call
Nice.
around and say, who's the best you've ever heard of? And then I just save up the money to be able to afford them. That's been my strategy so far.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to go whenever we start condominiumizing apartments and such, though. Well, we've talked for a little bit now. Feels like we've covered some subjects. Do you have any subjects you'd like to cover that we didn't talk about?
Let's see. We have also the tax.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Tax auction in common.
You and I both do that.
My interest has grown in that, but it's a tricky business, buying properties at the tax foreclosure auction. If people are not familiar, you know how it works. You got to pay your property taxes. If you don't, the county will, after say 3 years, literally take your property away from you and put it up on the auction block for the citizens of anywhere. They could come from anywhere. In fact, I just attended an auction over in Arkansas, Dyersburg, Blytheville, Arkansas. I was all over Arkansas, Tennessee. I went there for a week and attended some auctions. And so auctions are fun like that. I acquired 2 houses in Blytheville, Arkansas. That's another story. Here on the Big Island, the tricks are that you don't get title insurance. If you were to acquire this property at the tax auction and then turn around and try to sell it, more likely than not, either Title Guarantee, First American Title, Fidelity, Old Republic, basically the 4 title escrow companies we have here on the Big Island, will not insure title. So now you got a property, what are you going to do with it? Your options are either acquire quiet title or wait, 10 years. And if you wait 10 years, then the title companies will insure it. So I'm thinking, are there other ways without title insurance? How can I use these properties? Well, of course, I can use them for my own consumption. They're very cheap, right? You get them at upset price. You could get a 3-acre parcel as cheap as, $3,000-$4,000 for the so-called upset price at the auction. What is that? Well, that's all back taxes, processing fees, administration fees, whatever, just the minimal amount of money the county will accept for them to part with this property. So that's an interesting category. And like I said, I've been expanding out. I went to Arkansas, I picked up 2 properties. And over there, the economy is it's a little bleak, actually. They had closed down one factory in Blytheville, Arkansas, and I could literally pick up these houses for upset price.
Wow.
What do you think upset price is?
On a house in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Let's see. So it's probably $150,000 house. The taxes are,
No, it's a $40,000,
oh, wow.
$35,000 house.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's
upset was, I don't even know what to guess. What was the upset?
it's like $3,000.
Wow.
I had no competitors bidding, and they're all looking at me like, why the heck would you want to buy this? So apparently, businesses down in Blytheville, Arkansas, people moved out, the factory moved out, and they had a time when 500 people left the town, right? So that equates to about 100 homes or so that were abandoned, burned, whatnot, vandalized, squatted in. People didn't want them anymore. So you can literally go post auction and buy these homes for upset price. Post auction, they like couldn't sell them.
Looks like we're losing you.
And kicked in, there's graffiti, but it's still there, it's still a house. You're just going to take 10, 15,000 to fix it up. So basically it's if you were listening to my story, you're into it for about 20,000, all fixed up, and it's probably worth 35, and it probably rents for about $450 a month. How do those numbers sound?
They sound pretty good. Did you just go and buy them on cash? Did you take out any loans for them?
I wrote a check.
But you don't have any payments you need to make on them.
What's that?
You don't have any payments you need to make on them?
No. There were some outstanding liens. You have to be careful over there. The county will clamp down if you don't cut your grass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll make sure you upkeep the property. And another option I have for an exit strategy is sell it, agreement of sale or purchase money mortgage. And of course, the difference between the two, Alex. I don't know if everybody is familiar. These are both. What's that?
Explain it for them.
Yeah, these are two forms of seller financing, right? So here I have these properties I purchased at the auction, right? The tax foreclosure auction in Blytheville, Arkansas, right? Now, once again, this is a deprived economy, right? And people don't have much money. They can't go out and buy a house. So I got to make it more appealing, right? More palatable for more people, right? So how do I do that? I offer seller financing, right? Okay. With 10% down, you can move in and make monthly payments, right? There's two ways to do that. There's purchase money mortgage and there's agreement of sale. What's the difference? Purchase money mortgage is where I transfer title into the buyer's name. Agreement of sale is where I hold title, and when they pay in full, right, over the years, whatever it is, 10, 15, 20 years, they've paid all of, principal and interest, they paid the whole mortgage back. Then I do a release of mortgage, I transfer the title over to the buyer, right? So they both have their advantages and disadvantages. Purchase money mortgage, I've transferred title into his name. I would have to foreclose on him and go through that whole foreclosure process. Unless I do a deed in lieu of foreclosure, he signs off on a deed in place of foreclosure. He's willing to sacrifice the title, like if he signs off on a deed in lieu of foreclosure. But don't forget, you also need one more form. It's called an estoppel affidavit, meaning, oh, you didn't twist my arm. I was of right mind. I willingly agreed to all this. Estoppel affidavit. So you need the purchase money mortgage. You need the deed in lieu of foreclosure. Yes, I willingly give up title if I'm delinquent in my payments. and the estoppel affidavit. Yes, I was of right mind. Nobody twisted my arm. Nobody held a gun to my head. Those 3 forms: purchase money mortgage, agreement of sale. I hold title, right? If he doesn't make the payments, if he is delinquent, if he doesn't keep up his payments, if he falls 3 months behind, I just send him a letter, look, you didn't make your payments on time. So you lose your any interest in the property. Agreement of sale. I never transferred ownership over to him. Now that we're on agreement of sale, is this too much for you guys, or
No, it's going good.
should I keep talking?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Now, there's a lot of agreement of sales going on with the tax foreclosure properties here in the Big Island of Hawaii. You see it on Craigslist. You see it on what's that other one? eBay. Be careful. Go through an escrow company. What's an escrow company do? They're kind of like referees. They make sure everybody's following the rules, right? They make sure you're giving title free and clear of any liens and encumbrances. If you forego the escrow, the title company, you could literally inherit a property that has on it. Also, the escrow company records the transaction at the Bureau of Conveyances. Now it's become public, right? Because it's recorded at the BOC, Bureau of Conveyances. Now it's public information, right? So I could go up and see who owns this property. If he does not record it at the Bureau of Conveyances, oh, buddy, it's just between you and me. You keep the paperwork, I'll keep the paperwork. I don't know if he's a scammer. He could literally turn around and sell that same property to 5 other guys because he didn't record it at the Bureau of Conveyances. He could sell it, agreement of sale. Okay, you make payments to me. Oh, now you make payments to me. Oh, now you make payments to me. If he's a scammer, and I guess there must be some people out there. So my advice to you is you always go through the escrow company, which also serves as a title company, right? They make sure you're given title free and clear of any liens and encumbrances, clear title. It's insurable title. So if anybody comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, what are you doing on my property? That escrow title company will stand in your corner and litigate. They'll stand behind you in the court of law and they'll cover all. That's what title insurance is, right? They protect you legally, okay? So always go through an escrow company, especially if you're a beginner. Always get title insurance, do it legit. Don't just do a handshake and a contract and trust some guy on Craigslist.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm the some guy on Craigslist.
Well, you have integrity. I
know,
trust
I know.
Alex.
Our business is so incredibly trust heavy that we've at first we had all these properties and we just had a few people that would trust us. I'd say at least more than half of the people would talk to us and just say, you're a scammer. I don't want to do it. And so they wouldn't do it. And so now that we have a reputation and we've been doing it for a while, we're the some guy on Craigslist type of style to where we don't go through escrow and all that kind of stuff anymore. Cause I do the transfers myself.
Tony started in your neighborhood. And I have to say, Tony showed me the numbers. Hove is crazy moneymaker. That was the most profitable subdivision, but it's just too far, from where we live. It's 2.5 hours drive one way. But yeah, he was selling them, any property he picked up at the tax foreclosure auction, he was selling them agreement of sale.
Mm-hmm.
And he just got tired of it because he had to spend time to establish trust, right? He had to say, oh, this guy's legit. He lives in town. He's not going anywhere. His dad is this ROI guy. He's an agent, and he'll show his face once in a while just to add a little bit, but you gotta trust the guy.
Mhm.
If you smell anything fishy, right? Like what's going on, you don't know. Yeah, back off for sure.
Yeah, for
Back
sure.
off.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
gotten to where, yeah, I can smell that stuff a mile away whenever the guy's like, oh, well, this guy has the title and this and that. And it's, to tell you the
I
truth.
lost it. It's around here somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I have the exact same story that they're telling me, but whenever I tell
Uh-huh.
it, I know it's true. So it doesn't sound, I can hear myself when I'm telling people. They'll say, well, who has the title? And I'll say, okay, Hawaii Home Time Solutions has a partnership with this and this. Here's the other company. Here's the other people. They live here. This is this. And I tell them all the details, everything specific. And so I've gotten to where I can sniff it out and I hear all this like, this guy and some company and all these little non-specific things that you go, oh, there's a problem. But if somebody can get real specific with me, I trust them quite a bit more because I go and check the details as well. So that's the
You
due
go on the
diligence on my
county,
part.
when you go on the county website, it could have a name, Etal, ETAL. What does that mean? Etal.
And group, isn't it?
Yeah, others.
Yeah,
are
and others.
involved.
Yeah.
So if you see that guy's name, but then after his name it says Etal, there's others involved.
That means somebody else has
they
to sign the deed.
Yeah, they just abbreviated it. I don't even know what Etal means. Let me pull that up. But yeah, that
I think it means and more.
And
or
more.
And group, something like that.
Is that Latin or something?
Yeah, the good old legal Latin.
Etal definition. It says comes from Latin phrase meaning and others.
Yeah.
And others. Yeah.
Yeah, it means there's more people involved. So that's
right.
another thing. Whenever you're buying, that's another thing important to check out is, okay, so we go to Hawaii County PropertyTax.com, or it's Hawaii Property Tax, isn't it?
County Hawaii real property tax.
There you go. I just start typing it in and I go to that site so much. It just auto puts it in for me. So anyway, we go to the property tax website and we go and find who owns the property because that's who has to sign the deed
right
to transfer it.
Right.
And so that's another big thing I talk about all the time is, pocket deeds and having them signed and not recording them. It's not something that I do all the time, but it's a very effective thing to do because you talk about ownership. Who owns a property? In my opinion, who owns a property is the person who can transfer title. That's who owns the property. And so if I have the pocket deed or say I have, a contract on the property or whatever, I own the property because I'm the only one who can transfer the title.
I'm so jealous because as a real estate agent, we have to have everything recorded.
Yeah.
But you being independent have the liberty to, so you say pocket deal,
I call it a pocket.
Doing a transaction, you just keep it in your safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have one right now that we haven't transferred it's 8 properties I haven't transferred their signed deeds. The seller signed them. And so they have a tax lien on them. So until I pay off the tax lien, I just keep the pocket deed. Now,
when you pay the tax deed, then you transfer it into your name?
Yeah, whenever I pay off the taxes, I'll transfer it into our company's name. But and I'm using the income from the people who I've sold it to pay off the taxes. It almost gets into a gray area, except for the fact that
you're good at that. You're good at that.
It gets into a gray area. Yeah, OPM. It gets into a gray area, and I would not suggest doing it. And I would say that it would be dubious, except for the fact that we have the funds backed up to pay it off if we need it. So the only reason I would not suggest anybody else do this because it's kind of like a fast and loose way to do it. Also in Hawaii, say somebody came and that same seller made another deed to somebody else, the first person to record it gets it. That's who has title.
Right.
So even if my title, say I have a deed is just a piece of paper that's written out with the details of the property with a signature of the owner.
And
Once
the date, but you could have written any date.
Yeah.
Just now, and we don't know. So yeah, the first one to record at the Bureau of Conveyances is the winner.
So that's a big disadvantage for pocket deeds. They're not for, I call it a pocket deed because you just take it and keep it in your pocket and don't record it.
Right.
Now that means that I own the property. I have deed to the property. If I
Right.
needed to show someone, I can show I have
Sure.
deed to the property. But if they went and checked the record, the public record shows that it's still in the
There's
last
no-
person. Yeah, there's no transfer yet.
Right.
So there's two things happening. There's getting the deed, which is ownership, and there's recording the deed, which is showing everyone you have ownership.
Right. Making it public information. And what blows me away about you, Alex, is that you've taken it to the next level where you can actually produce your own deed. And so I guess producing your own deed, doing the you write up the deed, you do the transaction, you could actually record it at the Bureau of Conveyances. You don't need a lawyer, a real estate agent, or a lawyer again, or escrow company. You're a one-stop shop.
Me personally, I just learned how to, well, it took 5 years. I didn't just learn it overnight.
No,
But
you learned the lawyer's job, you
Yeah.
learned the escrow title
Yeah,
job, you do the real estate job.
yeah.
That's incredible.
But I can only do it for the one little area, for the one types of properties, for my little thing. So this is why I was able to do it, because I niched down to my one little thing. And
Just
I keep
Hove.
just Hove properties, just bare lots. I don't get into like with permits and houses and toilets you got to fix and roofs. Like that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
Landlording where you deal with roof
Yeah.
leaks and
That's
and
smart.
the sewer and all that. I don't know. I do know a lot of that because I've done it some, but I'm not an expert at any of that. I'm an expert in my one little tiny thing. But the other thing is I found a place where the inventory is huge. There's 11,000 1-acre lots in Hove. That's
Wow.
a huge inventory. And like we said, only 10% of occupied.
Wow.
So that's something like 9,500 lots that are probably up for grabs, because even though people, I would guess, I'm just totally off the top of my head, probably half the people that own lots that are not built on, they're up for sale. They would sell them if somebody came in and gave them a price.
You have so much opportunity. But you don't
Crazy.
suffer from the shiny penny syndrome.
Going to chase other stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
There's some like I
All the
went to
time.
Arkansas, totally off the cuff. I flew to Arkansas, attended this auction, and I'm buying this lot up in Fern Forest Vacation Estate. I just sent an email to my contractor friend, tell him I would love to partner with you on a new build in Ainaloa, and
You're
all
feeling
these
a
other
little
projects. I got this.
Well,
but I
that
think
means
you're
you need to-
smart and disciplined to be able to focus on Hove, and I think the returns in there are incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. The returns have been really great. The next thing I'm working on is the inventory is actually a problem because there's so much inventory that
Really?
there winds up being lower prices that come up. So
Right,
that's why we're
right.
building the fund to be able to buy everything under the base price and raise it to our
What
floor
is it? 10,000? What's your base price?
right now. Yeah, well, we'll
And-
probably take it. Well, right now it's 10, but we'll probably take it down once I have the fund to be able to buy everything and make it 5.
So
Because
you're
I think
gonna-
everything that's at 7 and 8 and 9
you're going to
is gonna
drive
vacuum
prices
down.
up.
Oh yeah, big time. I'm looking at $100,000 per lot in Hove. I think there's no reason it shouldn't be $100,000. I think there's no reason that every one of those shouldn't have a $1 million house on it. So, I'm trying to
In
get
your Craigslist ad, just put pictures of Waikiki Beach,
yeah.
girls in bikinis and
Yeah. Hey, what's funny is the people who love Hove, they think it's exactly the same as a white sand beach. That the people that love it are the people that love it. And my point is there's a customer
I
for
see.
every product out there. the fact that they can be up in the woods and off by
Uh-huh.
themselves and nobody's going to bother them, and who cares what they're smoking or doing, or they're off doing their
Well,
thing.
Elon Musk and his friends would like it.
Yeah. Well, he's into mobile homes now, right?
No, because he's gonna go develop Mars.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it looks exactly. There's a large
It'd be a
portion that looks
step
exactly like it.
towards Mars.
It'd be their training program. Yeah, so like you were talking about the microclimates, you know how it is in Hove. You'll be driving along and you have thick, beautiful, tall trees and bushes, and it's real super green. And a block away, it's literally just the moon, nothing but black rock.
Right.
As far as you can see, it just looks like a burnt black rock.
And then I went I don't know Hove that well, but I went like down in a dip, and there's this microclimate. It must have caught all the rain because it was like this lush little pocket. Yeah.
There's tons of those. What I say is that gravity's been going on for 1,200 years. So that's the lava flows were there 1,200 years ago.
Okay.
And gravity has been pulling everything down into the holes. So the trenches and the holes, that's where the sticks go, and the dirt and the grass and all the little things and insects and everything die and become soil.
Nice.
Yeah, so we always go and look in the pukas, and that's where you find all the
the pukas in Hove. I could live in one of those pukas that get the rain, and they're cooler, and it's just neat little microclimate.
It really is. It's more humid. It's cooler. I'm waiting for somebody to really pop out and start growing mushrooms in the caves, because they're perfect for lion's mane, shiitake, chaga.
Oh,
There's
really?
a ton, there's a ton of medicinal mushrooms that are also specialty mushrooms, like gourmet mushrooms. The chantels are incredibly valuable, and so they grow all over. Why would you have to have a house? Because I think people they're farming them now, but you have to keep the humidity right. You have to keep the darkness. You have to, there's a certain thing.
Right.
Well, you can just go down in a cave. It's instantly already there. You can feel it. It's
right.
thick. The air is thick.
It's
neat down there.
Nice.
Yeah. But like I said, staying in my niche has allowed me to do all the things that we were talking about. For example, I don't know how to, like, I wouldn't know how to escrow and like transfer property correctly on a house, like with all this, like for inspections and all the things that a realtor does that are part of selling a house. I don't know all of that stuff, but realtors don't know anything about the one little specific thing that I do, like if instead of being general on the whole house, knowing about, you got to look at the roof and, the mold and termites and inspectors and assessments and the insurance guy's got to say it's worth this much. All of that I've been through, but we don't do any of that anymore. We just got rid of that completely to where it doesn't even exist to us, so that it became real easy to focus on, because all I had to do was, we could go over to Mr. Konishi over there and say, here, we need this transferred, and we got to wait a couple of weeks, and maybe it'll come back and it might not be correct. So maybe I made a mistake. The thing is, I kept making mistakes in that process. And so I just learned how to do it, because I was like, if I'm going to make these mistakes, I might as well make the mistake and then just fix it and do it right and have the whole thing myself. That's
so
the way it
you
worked out for us.
basically employed Al Konishi, and when you watched him and saw what he produced, and now you do it
Something like that
yourself.
him
because
too.
it's no requirement for a lawyer to write a deed, correct?
Nope.
It doesn't need a lawyer's stamp.
Nope.
We just always employ a lawyer because we don't know how to do it.
Yep.
Right.
And the rules are not that tough. They are, because they'll kick it out for really specific, tiny little things. But another thing I did is I went and got qualified for this company called CSC that lets you record online. So I don't even mail them in anymore. I used to have to mail them in, but now like literally whenever we get off today, I'm going to go finish preparing 2 deeds. I'm going to go online and I'm going to submit them to the county. And within
the Bureau of Conveyances.
The Bureau of Conveyances online.
I thought that was in Honolulu.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
so I
can
submit
it electronically.
Mm-hmm. It's
Wow,
the
you're at the
system is
next
made.
level.
Well, the system is made for attorneys and escrow companies, but you don't
Uh-huh.
have to be an attorney or an escrow company to use it because it's just a private company. Like it's just like Facebook or whatever. You can just go
Uh-huh.
on and sign up. Now, I thought it was really simple. You could just sign up. They actually did a background check. They want to make sure that I'm not listed on a bad actor list. I don't
Okay.
have felonies. I don't have, they made sure that I'm not some kind of a crook. Because you could, I think it took about 6 weeks to get it set up. It was fairly, detailed. But now that I have it set up, like I said, I can just make a deed right here at my desk,
Uh-huh.
submit it right there online.
Uh-huh.
And within 24 hours, I know if the county's going to take it or not. And then within,
And then if they kick it back, they tell you
yep,
the
they tell me what
font
the
is
problem is.
wrong, or the sentence should be over here, and you just fix it.
That's
And that
it.
becomes a template for the next time.
That's correct.
So we're not doing anything illegal. It's just we've always employed the services of an escrow company and a lawyer, an attorney to write up the deed and handle the affairs. But you are incredible,
Well,
Alex.
thank you.
You're one-stop shop. You've taken it to the next level. You're bold like that. We've always just made the assumption we got to go through these specialists, these attorneys, whatnot, to handle the transaction because little me can't do it. But you figured it out, man. That's great. I'm gonna go through you next time. Why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there is some rule about doing it for somebody else. I doubt it. There probably isn't. I probably could
So you
just
might
be
be
a
able
service.
to do it for your. Yeah. Check that out.
Yeah, I might have to be a service provider or something. I know you're supposed to have a mortgage service
Rebel
license to service
recordings.
mortgages.
What's that?
You're supposed to have a mortgage service license to service mortgages. So that's one of
Okay.
the big things that was going to stop me for a while as I was working on going to get a mortgage service license. And then, whenever I finally got down to it, I talked to the Department of Financial Institutions here in Hawaii, in the state, and they said, we only regulate mortgages on residential properties. And I said, well, what about agricultural and commercial? They said, nope. I said, who regulates those? They said, nobody. I said, all right.
So that 3 transactions per year, it only applies to residences.
What 3 transactions per year?
Isn't there a rule that you can only lend on 3 transfers, 3 sales per year?
I don't know. Is that a mortgage rule?
Yeah, after the mortgage meltdown, they imposed this rule that you can only be a lender.
Oh,
You can only
Dodd-Frank.
provide financing for 3 properties, but maybe they're just talking about residences.
Yeah. So that's Dodd-Frank. That's a residential mortgage.
Dodd-Frank.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're off the radar then.
I guess so. I guess nobody's looking for me. I bet you, I think a lot of times regulations and stuff come whenever you make trouble. And so probably nobody's made so much of trouble that there have been a ton of customer complaints against people doing what I'm doing. I bet you if somebody else came along and just screwed a bunch of people over, and then the attorney general got just inundated with phone calls saying that there's some guy out here ripping people off, that I'm sure I'd have a ton more work to do.
Quite the contrary, Alex. You're providing a great service. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's going good. It's going really well. As are you, running the club, running the investment club.
Well, they say that let your work be your ministry. And although we do have some charities, I do feel good in the morning when I say, when I can say, wow, I have 8-10 families living under a dry roof because of our efforts. That makes me feel good, So, and of course we get taken care of also. So, let your work be your ministry, and you providing financing to the local community, making land ownership possible where otherwise it would not be possible. That is you know, God's love applied, if you will. You're actually doing something, not just going to church and praying and talking about it. You're doing it, you know. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you. That's sounds like a really nice place to wrap it up with gratitude and feeling like we're doing something good for the world. And that's a good encouragement to keep doing it.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. I've had a really great time talking to you, Roy. I have to say for anybody listening, please like, share, comment, subscribe. So I think I have like almost 20 subscribers. Can you believe it? 20 people want to hear what I have to say or what you have to say. So bless you, 20 people that are out there. God bless you. That's wonderful. But we'd like to have more people listen also. So if you can help us out with that, all you can do is like, subscribe, and comment to wherever you're watching this. And that'll probably help us get out to more people being able to hear it. Roy, where can people find you if they ever want to get in touch with you?
Big Island REI at gmail.com. That's Big Island REI stands for real estate investing at gmail.com.
All right. Well, thank you, Roy. This has been a great talk. And we're going to go ahead and cut it off for today. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Aloha.